As I listened to Chancellor Rachel Reeves lay out the dire fiscal situation inherited by the new Labour government, I couldn't help but think this was a starring role reversal from over a decade ago. Back in 2010, the fresh-faced Tories under David Cameron were the ones blasting the previous Labour regime for economic profligacy and vowing a new age of austerity to restore order to the public finances. Now the tables have turned. Reeves and her cabinet colleagues are singing that same austere tune, accusing their conservative predecessors of gross fiscal mismanagement and a complete lack of candor in concealing nearly £22 billion in unfunded spending commitments until after the recent election. The new Labour leaders cast themselves as brave truth-tellers, leveling with the British public about the steep challenges ahead. Reeves didn't mince words, declaring there would be more difficult decisions around spending, welfare, and tax in the looming budget at month's end after outlining some £5.5 billion in initial cuts and tax hikes. The frank discussion of unpalatable options is certainly a refreshing change from the norm in politics of kicking the can down the road. And Reeves' surgical precision in going after long-protected pensioner benefits like the winter fuel allowance signals her resolve to make hard choices that predecessors lacked the fortitude to undertake. At the same time, one can't help but feel a mild sense of déjà vu about the entire scenario. We've seen this movie before of an incoming government inheriting a profligate mess and vowing to make the tough decisions to put the nation back on sound economic footing through austerity. Back in 2010, David Cameron's new Tory regime slashed spending dramatically to reduce deficits, only to face years of sluggish growth, stagnant wages, and shredded public services as the costs piled up. Now it's Labour's turn to flip the script and embrace the same medicine of fiscal belt-tightening. The parallels extend beyond just the political rhetoric. Just as the Tories blamed the prior Labour regime for the global financial crisis forcing austerity in 2010, Reeves and company are hanging the current fiscal calamity around the Tories' necks for bungling the pandemic response, the cost of living crisis stemming from the Ukraine war, and gross mismanagement across many policy areas. There's certainly plenty of blame to go around on all sides. But focusing too much energy on partisan score settling seems like a counterproductive diversion from developing fresh, innovative policies to rejuvenate Britain's sclerotic economy, boost chronically anemic productivity growth, and restore the fiscal health required to fund top-notch public services and infrastructure. The real elephant in the room may be what Reeves avoided mentioning: tax hikes on the middle class. The Chancellor vowed to leave the main rates on income, corporate profits, and payroll taxes untouched. But she'll likely have to raise revenues elsewhere through less visible channels like higher investment taxes, closing loopholes, and steeper fees. These backdoor tax increases on the middle class may be politically easier to swallow than rate hikes. But piling too many incremental taxes onto an already overburdened middle class hardly seems like a recipe for the stronger economic growth and fatter family budgets that Labour promised. More fundamentally, the focus on balancing the fiscal ledger through painful budget cutting and revenue raisers feels like an excessively narrow, pessimistic framing of Britain's economic challenges and possibilities. Reeves seems intent on undertaking the mirror image of the Tories' austerity binge from 2010 to 2015 that contributed to subpar growth and damaging cuts to public services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure maintenance that most now agree went too far. Britain's problems stem not just from deficits and debt loads, but from deeper structural economic woes, lagging productivity and business investment, skills deficits, creaking infrastructure, and gaping regional inequalities. A more holistic vision aimed at remedying those root causes could better align fiscal prudence with pro-growth public investments and policies that increase economic potential. It would be a shame if Reeves and Labour settled for Austerity Redux rather than truly new, uplifting economic thinking to renew British dynamism. Restoring sanity to government books is a noble first step, but just one piece of the broader revitalization Britain so desperately needs after a lost economic decade. For a nation whose identity was once so deeply rooted in its economic vibrancy and innovative dynamism, the current mood of relentless fiscal belt-tightening and grinding household sacrifice feels sadly diminished and philistine. A return to that prior greatness will require grander ambition beyond mere austerity, a bold new economic vision promoting investment, skills, innovation, and national rejuvenation. Britain used to be that shining city on a hill inspiring the world. These days, the view from that hilltop feels disappointingly bleak and inward-looking. Rachel Reeves has an opportunity to change that narrative by going bigger and brighter than the well-trodden path of grinding austerity. One hopes she seizes it.